Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. I'm Bobby.
I'm Emilio, and we are lonely. Uh, it's just us two.
It's Easter Sunday, yeah, and everybody bailed out. We are recording a little later than usual, so some people couldn't make it, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. You know, Bobby, you do all of the technical stuff, and I kind of sit here and watch you. You know, so I was appreciating your face, and your gray hairs are symmetrical, and mine, like, you have all the chin, right, perfectly on the chin.
Yeah.
Perfect wingtips, or what are those called?
On the side, like on the brow.
Side, yeah. You look like a fledgling politician, right? and then me, look at this patchwork here, just all over the place.
You got the patchy gray. Yeah,
patchy gray. At least I don't have patchy beard. That's I'm happy with that.
That's a problem.
Right. I will take this all day. But you know, people have suggested to me do the what do you? Oh, it's not that you're doing just for men, are you? You're making it symmetrical?
No.
Come on, Bobby.
No. I mean, if I was doing that, wouldn't you think I'd just recolor the whole beard?
No, because you look badass, dude. I'm telling you, fledgling politician.
Oh no, I've thought about if I dyed my beard and I got rid of the gray, if I would look. I think I would look years younger.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Or just shaving the.
Just shaving my face. I don't look good without a beard though. I need to cover this up. Oh man, all right. Well, it's just us two, and that's all right because we went to Dreamhack this weekend, so we're going to be talking a bunch about that. But we also played some games too, so we did. We got an episode here.
Yes, all right. We do.
I'm going to kick it off on the radar. We're going to talk about the games that have come to our attention, and the first one I'm going to talk about is called Trepang 2. I think that's how it's pronounced.
That's so strange. Dude.
It's a weird name, and it says Trepang 2, and that's misleading because if you look at the art for this, it's actually Trepang squared. So,
I see.
Yeah. So it's not like there was a sequel. But this game came to my attention because I saw an article on PC Gamer about it. Or no, it wasn't PC Gamer. It was some other outlet, and I can't remember what. But they were comparing it to the original Fear. Now, last episode, we had a listener question, and somebody brought up the original Fear, and that game hits home for me. I loved that game. I thought that game was just fantastic. So if there's something coming out that's like it, yeah, I want to check that out. It's supposed to be... It looks a little indie, a little low budget. You know, the studio, Trepang Studios, it's not very well known. I don't recognize them. Being published by Team 17, though. But it's supposed to be a very violent first-person shooter with a little bit of a supernatural edge to it. So you're somebody that wakes up, has no idea who you are, but you have these special powers, and you go on this like murderous killing spree here. Good old-fashioned first-person shooter here. Yeah,
I never got into the Fear thing. It's basically like an action shooter that just has. Is it horror sprinkled in, or is it?
No, it's full on horror, and I feel like it was the first person shooter horror game. That's not true. There must have been other ones, but it was like the big one for me. It was like the first one to do it right, in my opinion. And there were really cool things about it. The physics, like there was a lot of ragdoll in it. It was the game came out, I think, early 2000s, and that was a big thing. You know, after Half-Life 2 started doing that. But it had those ragdoll physics. It had a nail gun, which has been done before too. But it was such a fun gun to use. The listener question we had last week was talking about the shotgun in it, and it had that, you know, that Japanese trope that they have in horror movies where a very pale girl with the long hair draped over her face. It had a lot of that in it. I think the girl's name was, it started with an A. I think it was Alma, but I'm not sure. And the whole thing.
A Japanese game?
No, I don't think it was. But the whole thing about that game, bit of a spoiler here, but they were, I think it was the government was trying to train these. Or they discovered supernatural abilities in people. So they were trying to use that to command troops. So this little girl could control all these, like a squad of these like death commandos or something. And so, you know, it's the old tale of like the government trying to harness some power that that is too powerful and it goes wrong.
Let me guess. Yeah, it goes wrong.
It does not go well. Yeah. But and fear stands for like first encounter assault recon, and I like how they did the whole acronym for it. I don't know. There was just a lot of things that were I liked about that game, but it doesn't hold up today. I played the second Fear game a couple years ago. In fact, for the first time, I finally finished it. Not that great. And then Fear 3, I'd never touched that one. But the first one, I think, is just solid.
I think everybody who played it when it was hot still talks about it fondly to this day.
Yeah, it was a big game when it came out. There was a part late in that game where you run into this nerd and he's got a belt buckle that says RTFM, which is an old nerd joke. It means read the fucking manual. But you have like a bit of an interaction with him, like he tells you, oh, you have to go down here and do this to get access to here, something like that. But that whole interaction was funny. Yeah, it was a solid game, man. I might replay that one of these days. So I don't know. We'll see if Trepang lives up to the hype. It is just a single player first person shooter, which is a bold move, man, to come out with a game like that. I mean, unless you're Doom or Wolfenstein or like, something like a big title like that, it's hard to break ground with just a new first person shooter.
It does too, and how you said, it's a lower res game, just slightly, just not AAA or whatever, which means it's going to be a smaller game, which is easier to pirate and stuff. Like those boomer shooters, those single player boomer shooters must get so much piracy.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of them, if it's a multiplayer game, then I think there's a way to combat that. But yeah, if you're a smaller studio, you can't afford de novo, which I don't really know how this stuff works, but based off of kind of what I've read, you have to pay a subscription for that. For the de novo anti-tamper. So what games do is these big AAA games, for the first year that they're out, they'll pay for it because that's when everybody wants to pirate it and get it. And then when their profits start going down, they're selling the game for half price anyway. Then it's not profitable for them to continue paying for the anti-piracy software. And then also when that happens, you do take a performance impact with that too. So when that does happen, the game actually runs better, I hear.
Yeah. Hey, Bobby, can you turn yourself down just a smidge?
Yes, I can. I'm running the controls today. We are without Christian as well, so
I've got a couple games that I'm pretty excited about, actually. So Spellcraft is a game. I want to give the shout out to whoever put it on here on the radar. It was Poison King. Thanks, Poison King. Spellcraft is a hexagonal real-time strategy game. They say there's never been anything like it, and I can't think of anything like this before. So you have your hexagons, nothing fancy about it. There's no obstruction, no crates or anything. It's just the hexagons. You have your characters. So far, it's an alpha, I believe, and it's an open alpha. So public alpha, they're calling it. So I think you can play this. I haven't played it though. I've seen a few classes. I've seen a rogue, an archer, a tank, and a healer, which is all you need really. But they, as soon as you start the match, you can pick where you want them to start, and then as soon as the match starts, everybody auto attacks and starts kind of just attacking what's right in front of them. So their archer could automatically just start pinging your healer if it's directly across from them. I don't know if they are smart enough to attack the healer directly, but if you then move your tank in between that archer and your healer, then you'll start blocking those arrows, right? And then you can start moving. But everybody's swinging, everybody's shooting, but it's just one player controlling 4 characters. And so it seems super hectic, but they're swinging pretty slowly. It's like 75% of real life or whatever, or 60%. And so you can actually make decisions. And the whole special abilities are kind of like drag and drop. So you'll click on the warrior and you'll be like, taunt this particular other guy, or whatever it is, or whatever it might be. And then you grab your healer and you drag and drop to the guy you want to heal. So it's a lot of like dragging and dropping, thinking quickly. And then been seeing it's streaming live on Steam, and I've been watching that. And after each victory, he gets an item, and you can again drag and drop to the character you want to put it on and what slot you want to put it on, so you can kind of just level up as you go. I don't. It seems like it has because of that. It does seem like it's like kind of roguelike-y that you start from the beginning, but that just could be because it's in alpha, and so the campaign's not fleshed out, and it's just like the same few things in a row. So there's no structure to the campaign or anything like But yeah, I haven't seen anything like this. Have you, Bobby?
No, this looks a little different, and I half expected to see cards in this, like card-based combat, but that is not the case. I'm looking at their Steam page, and they've got a part here under the About section that says Spellcraft is a game of sick plays and strategic Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's not what I was looking at. Oh, no, that is. Oh, sick plays and strategic mastery without any of the tedious micromanagement. We skip straight to the fun part. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Some people like the micromanagement, but I do appreciate a game that is streamlined.
Yeah, and, trying something new. Who knows how well it'll do, but...
do you think it'll be free to play?
No, because I think it's single player.
No, it's online PvP.
Oh, is it?
It looks like it's only online PvP.
Then I don't know.
Maybe. And it's tagged as a MOBA, tactical real-time PvP action RTS.
Oh man, I hope I didn't get dragged into a fucking mobile game. That's also on Steam.
It does look kind of mobile-ish.
Yeah, it does. I hope not. I hope this is somebody just trying to. I mean, either way, if you're trying something new, go for it. It's like Minion Masters a little bit. If each minion had a special ability, and you had to aim it at. It goes a little bit further than that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm digging it.
Yeah. Oh, Minion Masters. Forgot about that one. Yeah, the drag and drop kind of gives it away that it might be mobile, but I don't know. We'll see. So it's public alpha as of April 6th. So that was a few days ago. So yeah, you could, looks like you have to request access.
The second game I have here kind of slipped under the radar. No pun intended. Overwhelmingly positive with 1,200 reviews. It's $7, and I just want to. I know millions of people listen to this, so I want to talk to the small developers. I think your price point is so important. Like, putting something at $29.99 does not mean you're gonna make more money. Like putting something at like $7 and selling tons of copies because you made something good. It's all about how well you think it's going to sell and stuff. I know it's a tricky proposition, but for $7, I'm like, oh, yeah. Let me stop talking about this and let me find out about it. And so it's overwhelmingly positive. It's one of these things that like a streamer, I think his name's Iron Pineapple, streamed it and talked about this game, and he loved it. And then you could see in the reviews, I started reading that, and a lot of people are giving thanks to Iron Pineapple, and some other people, basically streamers, are paying this, and people are loving it. So this game is kind of an homage, as far as I can tell. So it is inspired by FromSoft. Before they made all Elden Ring and all this stuff years and years ago back, they made this game called
is it Kingsfield? I see that.
Kingsfield.
Yeah, I see that referenced a lot in the reviews.
Yeah, and so this is basically everybody. If I never played it, have you heard about it, Bobby?
No,
Kingsfield?
I have not.
So they're saying it's Kingsfield but better, and brought up to date with a bunch of cool little additions and stuff. I never played it personally, but so let me get into what it is. It's a first-person dungeon crawler RPG, like kind of like very old school. The graphics are nothing impressive. We're talking like PlayStation 2 graphics, Yeah, and you just, you swing a sword in one hand, you level up. Your items themselves have their own leveling, and so the more you use whatever level, whatever item it is, the stronger it gets.
And you're
Yeah.
playing one character here, not a
One
group.
character,
Because I was
not a
going to
group.
say, it looks like the grid based
It does.
games
Yeah.
that I used to play all the time.
Yeah. I was gonna say it looks like the other grid-based game was Shadowgate, the one of the very oldest ones that I knew. Yeah, it's like a grid-based game without the grids. It's free roam.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere you
Yeah.
want. But yeah, it's a total dungeon crawler. And yeah, I mean, I believe the reviews. This is bought. Um, One of the reviews said that because it's an alpha, I believe. It's early access, and in 8 hours, he completed everything the game had, and that he also knew that he had skipped a bunch of secret stuff to finish the current content. So this is like, I wouldn't say this is my jam, but this is definitely like 18, 16-year-old, 17-year-old Emilio's jam. If I wasn't balls deep in fucking EverQuest at the point, I would have fucking loved something like this for sure. And I know. So for $7, and the reviews, for me, yeah, it's already at the checkout line.
It's interesting what you say about going back to what you said about the price point. And I feel like Christian, if he were here, he'd have a lot more information on this because that's kind of his job, that all that stuff. But I think it is really
not his job for us.
No.
That's his job outside of this.
His real job. Yeah, his day job. But I think it is really important. I don't know why, but if I see a game that's $7, I am like 200% more times likely, like to buy that than a game that's priced much higher than that. But there's got to be some point that you reach, and I'm sure there's analytics and data that will tell you like this is the tipping point where people will stop buying the game, but enough will buy that you'll make the most money. You know what I'm saying?
I'll even put it this far, dude. I will put it this far. I forgot what venue, but some venue gave Vampire Survivors Game of the Year. What was that? Do you remember?
I don't, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. I don't think it would have got that if it was $14.99. I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, for $3, I don't know what he made on that. He's making what, 70% of each one of those.
Yeah.
So,
okay, that was BAFTA that gave it Game of the Year. Yeah, that's the British.
I don't even know what BAFTA is. I always hear BAFTA, but I forget what it is.
In regards to video games, I'm honestly not that sure. But with movies, it's like the British Academy Awards, and it actually happens before the Academy Awards. So a lot of people they can kind of predict what's going to win an Academy Award by what did well at the BAFTAs. But yeah.
Dude, if I made Soulstone Survivors, I would just like throw my TV through the wall after the Vampire Survivors got it. I mean, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
But like I told everybody, if you buy Soulstone Survivors, you have to also buy, what do you call it? Vampire Survivors as a tax, just because like it was the first one. You don't even have to play it. Just
you got to pay homage.
Yeah, you got to pay homage.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for On the Radar. Let's talk
Any
about
interest in this?
Lunacid. Yeah. I mean,
play it off my account, and then you could.
Okay, I'll check it out. I mean, for $7, I may just grab it. But yeah, it looks really good. I don't know if I want to wait for full release on something like this, but yeah, I love those grid-based ones. But there's a lot more inventory management in those because you typically have 4 characters, and also the placement of your characters matters. So I really enjoyed that part of it. This seems a little more hack and slash or first-person shooter like, but without the shooting, more than melee combat. But yeah, I mean, I'd check it out.
Also read there's some super wacky spells in there, so that might be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about games that we have played. I had, it's really weird because I played a lot last week, but not of any particular thing. I played a lot of Deep Rock Galactic. I played League of Legends. I played Sea of Thieves. And it's not like these are all things that I've talked about before, so they don't even seem worth bringing up. But I did want to mention a few weird things, and I'll just kind of go through them quickly. But I was playing a lot of League of Legends. I've been getting into that again. Just I like MOBAs, and I feel like League of Legends is the premier one. There's Dota, but I just don't really other than the fact that Dota gives you all the characters for free, I think that's great, but I just really don't like the feel of Dota. So I've been playing League of Legends, and this strange thing happened. I'm pretty new at the game. I don't really know what I'm doing. I kind of end up in whatever position doesn't get called, which is a weird thing. I haven't done that since Smite. Remember when you would join a game in Smite and everyone would say like jungle or call mid, and then people would get into an argument before the game even starts. Yeah, so you got to do that stuff I'm doing blind draft in league, so maybe that's why. So I end up what's weird is nobody really wants to jungle in all the games that I play. So I end up playing jungle a lot, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that. And it's way easier now. First of all, some changes I noticed. They've changed like the starting items you can get. You start off with one of 3 items that you pick, and then after that, you usually start building your legendary. And then when you jungle, it shows you this is the best camp to start with on the mini map. And then once you finish that, it says, okay, now go do this one and that one. Like it guides you through the game, which there was such a big learning curve with MOBAs in general that, that's super useful. Probably needed something like that. There's probably a way to turn it off, but I still find it useful. But what's really strange is, let's say the player playing mid has to back.
I was gonna guess, Bobby, like if the opposing team knows what the computer is telling you is the best way to do, they can ambush you at the second spot or whatever. Right?
I guess they could, but they give you wards for free in that game now. So it's harder to gank people. I feel like you don't have to like pay money for wards. You get like one. It's on a cooldown. So it's a little safer. No, that hasn't happened. But what has happened is let's say the mid lane has to back for whatever. He's got to buy items. I thought, I was like very close by. So I thought, okay, I'll cover his lane. I'll get the minions and get the XP and some money from doing that, and make sure that like the enemy can't push up mid lane. And this happened multiple times. And both times that it happened, I got all these nasty pings, dude. Like people doing like the caution ping and then typing like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm doing, but I feel like I'm covering your lane. You're not here getting the XP. I feel like I might as well be getting it. I don't know. And for the first time, maybe I'm totally wrong, and someone who plays the game, please let me know. But for the first time playing League of Legends, I felt like I knew more than the people I was playing with. And it was a really weird feeling, but maybe I am wrong. I don't know.
Could be for some reason. Maybe I can't. It seems almost like God. We sound so fucking old. Like we don't know what we're talking about.
I mean, we did play a lot of Smite. We know MOBAs, man. Like we do. But you know what? It's crazy because anytime I play a game that has this much depth, I always spend too much time researching, and there is so much material out there for League of Legends. There is an entire website. I think it was called jungler.something.ci or something, and it's just on jungling. All 150 characters, like here's the tier list, like here's the best ones for jungling. Okay, you want to play this one, this is how you do it, these are the camps, this is the build you go, like just all this stuff, and it's just on jungling. The entire website. It's like a WoW wiki almost. It's like a big website. So there's just so much material. I ran into another website that was really helpful, and then there was a paywall. I hit a paywall, and I was like, oh, if you want to watch more instructional videos, you got to pay for it. And I'm like, what?
Dude, speaking of that, well, fuck, I'm going to jump a little bit and go to Dreamhack. But while we're at Dreamhack, somebody we used to slightly be affiliated with, because there's a San Diego, like a internet cafe here. Mm-hmm. And we loosely were going to do something with them one time, and never ended up happening. But they were somebody from them was handing out cards, and it was like esports training is what they were advertising. Mm-hmm. And I thought one way, I think it's a clever way to also bring in more money to a internet cafe, which must be so hard to keep paying the rent on. So hard.
You don't see a lot of those anymore. At least not here in America. But
and I'll shout them out. Their GameSync is the name of it, and I mean, you got to try to bring in revenue but like, who are you to like teach me? I mean, if they have people with credentials, I guess maybe there's some people there that practice all day, and that are good. And
Well, it seemed like, based on the card that they were handing out, it seemed like they had something about mental training or mental health. So it seemed like they were more of a life coach, or this is how to, like, I don't know, balance yourself with games where maybe not specific training for like this game. This is how you get really good, but this is how kind of if you want to be an esports player, this is how you can be successful. And this is like what you need to do. You know,
which is funny because wasn't the owner kind of like very, he was into chakras and all this stuff, and he had changed himself into, he had changed his name into like a,
oh yeah, I can't remember his name, but he had a name like that.
Dude.
Aggregati. That was it. Yeah. I don't know if he still owns the place or not, but years ago, Chi and I went there and, we bought some time. We did the whole LAN thing. I mean, it was a good LAN, but it's just like not a lot of people do that these days. They were doing good business, though. They had a lot of kids there, mostly playing League and watching a lot of Crunchyroll, but, it looked all right.
Yeah.
All right. And the only other thing I played, I just wanted to shout out Sea of Thieves. I've been doing my tall tales because I'm not good enough for the open seas. But I really wish that we could figure out the audio. We got to spend some time and do that so we can start playing more audio clips again. But I just wanted to say how great of a job they did on the Pirate's Tall Tale. It is supposed to be like the Disneyland ride of Pirates of the Caribbean, and they nailed it. Not just
I've done that one. Yeah.
Oh, you've done that one. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
It's the only thing I've done in that game, pretty much.
Well, it's the very first Tall Tale, and it's like a great introductory. And it's got Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp's likeness in there, and all that stuff. But not only visually, like I really feel like I'm on a ride at Disneyland. And living in San Diego, Anaheim is not that far away. I've been to Disneyland so many times throughout my life. Pirates of the Caribbean, one of my favorite rides. Been on that. I do it every single time I go up there. I know that ride pretty well. And they nailed it, not just visually, but with the audio too. There is a specific way that when you're on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, they have these voiceovers. This guy will talk to you and say like, "Ooh, dead man tell no tales" and all that stuff. But it has a very specific sound, and it's not a modern sound. It sounds like something that was recorded in the 50s or whenever that park was created. And it's got kind of an old-fashioned audio recording sound to it. And that is exactly what it sounds like in Sea of Thieves, in that Tall Tale. And I heard that and I was like immediately taken back to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. So I just thought they did a fantastic job with that.
It's funny, Bobby, is like I hadn't gone in like, let's see, Mila was probably like 3, so at the time I hadn't gone in like 20 something years, when since I was a kid, I think, or very long time ago. Anyway, so we went, and my big complaint was that nothing was updated. The audio wasn't updated. But, it was explained to me that like people come for the nostalgia of like, this is exactly how it was when I was a kid. And I was like, this is fucking bullshit. Like fucking update that shit. Like make it look good. And then, I don't know. I was a negative Nancy. And then I went this last time, and I talked about it on the podcast how like I had a really good time, and like it is the happiest place on earth because everything, attention to detail, everything, everything's all polished up. There's no chip paint anywhere. Like everything is fucking, dialed in. And we went on It's a Small World, and that had actually like had been updated, but like it, with much respect to the originals. Like the puppets were still made out of felt, but it was new felt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just had like a makeover. Yeah. It is pretty incredible what they do over there. And I feel like with that new Star Wars area, things do feel a lot more modern.
It's fucking incredible, that place, dude. That just to walk through that place is
just the Star Wars place alone is just crazy. I mean, I always loved Star Tours when I was a kid, and they updated that, man. They updated that even before they started doing all the Star Wars stuff. I remember the original Star Tours video that they showed you. Star Tours is a motion ride where you sit in a seat and then they just rock you around while the video plays.
Hey, don't forget Michael Jackson was involved.
That was Captain EO.
Was he not in that?
Yeah, dude, that was Captain EO. Right next to that ride was Captain EO. And they got rid of Captain EO a long time ago. That's been gone for a while.
Was it before or after he was touching kids?
Maybe that's why they got rid of it. I don't know.
That's why I'm saying it.
Maybe. But yeah, dude, the Star Tours one, they updated it when Force Awakens came out, and they did the whole thing with Finn and that movie. So yeah, it changed a bit.
Question, Bobby. So we got a little more time. We can fuck around. Have you gone back and watched the, episode 7, 8, and 9 again? And do you have a new appreciation or less appreciation for them?
No, I watch the Star Wars movies, like all of them, all 9 of them, like every couple of years. And the last time I watched it, I don't know. I feel like it was just the 7, 8, and 9, the new trilogy. I still have a tough time getting into those ones. It's just the nostalgia isn't there. It just doesn't happen for me. I don't know. All right. So we've been talking about the games. Well, before we get into Dreamhack, maybe you should talk about some of the other games here. Or you got something you got to take care of there. Okay. I'll just keep talking. Let's get into Dreamhack. Looks like Emilio's got to do something real quick. So Emilio and I went to Dreamhack. Fortunately, my work ended up paying for my ticket, and they bought me a 3-day ticket. So I ended up going Friday and Saturday. On Friday, I was there with a lot of my coworkers, and they're kind of new to all this stuff and esports and everything. And we've been trying to do some of that in our school district. So I was being a little bit of a tour guide that day, but Saturday, it was me, Emilio, and my girlfriend, and we went around and we saw everything. I'm going to bring up the pictures here if you're watching live or checking this out on YouTube. Let me switch over. So
I'm back. Sorry about that. I was hearing the whole thing. But,
okay, yeah.
Oh, no, he just queued me up and I'm nowhere near my mic.
No problem. So the first thing that I saw when I was there on Friday, I was like, these backpacks are super cool. I've seen the hats where the hats light up and they say something or they have graphics that play. They also had glasses that do it, but I've never seen these full backpacks that do it. And one had a Mario, like all these Mario animations and pretty detailed animations playing. I thought that was super cool.
I didn't see those. Did we see that when I was with you?
Yeah, they were over by the lightsabers.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, we may not have passed by that aisle. But they were constantly... So Dreamhack, I've always heard about, mainly because when I was watching a lot of competitive Heroes of the Storm, they would have tournaments at Dreamhack. So I know it is a place that they do a lot of tournaments, but of course it's a gaming convention, so there's other stuff you can do as well. The big tournament was Rocket League while we were there, but they also had Brawl Stars, Clash of Clans, bunch of other stuff. And then an open entry, like fighting games and Marvel Snap, which Emilio, you participated in.
God, I'm so pissed, dude. I'm so pissed about it. Because
yeah, how did that go? Because all I'm getting are text messages like,
hey, I'm in line. Hey, I finally figured out I'm nervous. And then I lost.
Yeah, lost in the first round.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
I'm going to say it was a bad matchup, and it really was. If anybody knows Marvel Snap, he was throwing junk at me, which means filling up my lanes with useless stuff, so I can't put down my stuff. And coincidentally, I was playing a game that fills up my own lanes with kind of like robots, like cards that make cards. So I need a lot of space to work. So it was like the perfect counter to my deck. So he was a really nice guy too. So at least he wasn't a dick, and he also stomped my neck in. But it was, I think, of the 3 games, or of the 4 games, I won 1 maybe.
Well, I feel like in any card game, I've played a few of them, maybe not as many as you, but in any card game, there's always a rock, paper, scissor element to it. Like, unfortunately, you can just get countered because they decided to use this deck and you decided to use that deck.
As it, in some way, it should be, and there should be. And then that's when you get into the meta of like, maybe make my deck half scissor and half rock. And, I could do better against the other 4 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's something that works or is difficult to be countered at the very least.
Exactly.
Yeah. The only complaint I have is it feels like some things may not have been too well organized. We had trouble finding out like where to go to do things. And also the first day we had to wait in line for about 45 minutes to an hour just to get our wristband to get in through the door. And I've been to BlizzCon, which is way bigger than this, and they had no problem getting people into the door. Like it was super quick. So I don't know. This is the first time they did it in San Diego, so maybe it was a learning experience. But when we went upstairs, that was the magic area. The entire top area was dedicated to people playing Magic, buying and selling cards. Also, artists were there signing autographs, selling their work, which is really cool. I mean, I don't play a lot of Magic, but I can appreciate the artwork. And you always see them on these little tiny cards, and they look so much better when they're blown up on a big poster. Yeah. It's really impressive.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is like, it's originally done big and then they shrink it down, and who knows what they have to do to make it like look legible in that.
Yeah.
You know, not everything's going to translate, but I think, you know, they use the same artists years after years after years. So, you know, there's these people that are professional Magic the Gathering card artists, and some of them are very sought after more than others. And you know, there was a couple there signing the cards, and that was really cool. Out of everything, I think that was the most most well organized. The thing
it was like, the smelliest as well. We got up there, and immediately it was just like, whoa, dude.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Magic players are, you know, Magic players. They do not bathe for the most part.
They do not have time for showers.
And this is in sunny San Diego with the windows open and breeze whipping through that place. Not enough to blow cards over or anything, but like doors were open and winds coming through. And I told Bobby and his girlfriend that like I had gone and done a Magic tournament on the Queen Mary.
Queen Mary, yeah.
In LA, which is a docked ship. It's like, you know, whatever, cemented into the
it's
dock.
like an old Titanic ship. It's this giant ship that they've just got permanently docked.
It doesn't move. It's in the water, but it doesn't move.
People get married on that. It's just like a venue now. I think you can stay there. It's like a hotel as well.
And we're down in the bowels of the ship in their fucking like, you know, their ballroom or whatever, and it's the same smelly people, dude, and there's no wind or no Febreze, and it was rough. and things have changed, dude. A little more geekish chic has happened since way back then in the fucking early 2000s, late 90s or whatever. Like a lot of things have changed, and so there used to be like 2 females for thousands of guys, 2 females, you know, and now it's it's still whatever 20%, but at least it's a lot more.
Yeah, and I could tell, man. I could tell once we got up there and we saw, just kind of surveyed the land and saw the second floor. I was like, okay, these are the real nerds, man. This is the OG nerds.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it was cool, man. I think you have to buy. That's the other thing that was kind of weird about this. You had to buy special types of tickets depending on what you wanted access to. There was general access, like the cheapest one, which is what we had. But then there was, you want like to actually get a seat for the Rocket League tournaments? Oh, you have to have the blue wristband. Oh, you want to buy alcohol? You have to have the VIP wristband, which was super weird. And then to get into the Magic area, I think you had to buy special access to that as well. So I don't know. That was kind of strange.
Also, for me, it felt like the whole place had a little bit of like identity crisis going on. They had like Magic, and they had streamers, and then they had like artwork, and then they had they had a tournament, an esports tournament. Then they had an AM PM, yes, the convenience store, AM PM arcade.
Oh yeah,
which was always packed, by the way. Yeah. Fuck, I really wish. I think arcade cabinets are going the way of the dodo, dude. Like, I'm looking at these games, and they're either old or straight from Japan in Japanese. Like, there's nothing in between. There's no like 2020.
It's a retro thing, man. It's like it's outdated. There's no need for them anymore, but people still hang on to them just for the memories. So I wonder how long they'll last. But it was interesting. The open play arcade area So two things about that. One, the cabinets were Japanese style, and you mentioned this, that in America, a lot of the cabinets, if you play against someone in Street Fighter, you're standing side by side with them. But in Japan, the opposite player is standing on the other side of the machine and has their own screen over there. And you could just kind of tell from the look, like the molding of the plastic on these, like they looked more like Japanese style, a lot of these cabinets. Second thing, I didn't get a picture of this, but there's this game where you have to shake this little animal and it makes it run on the screen. And it's like a little kid game, you know, all the parents are like putting their little kids up there and like, okay, shake this little pig creature and make it run. And then there's one guy who's, you know, like an older guy and he's shaking it, but he's like super tall. And the thing
like
is,
6'5".
yeah, and the little pig is around his crotch, and you look at him profile, and it looks like he's just butt fucking this little pig, dude. And I was like, what the hell?
Bobby never says shit like this, and he's like, Emilio, come here. He's like, it looks like this guy's fucking this little pig. And I was like, what? What are you talking about?
And I was like,
it's one of those things where you want to look without being seen, you know?
yeah. You're just like, don't look, but look. It was so weird. Yeah, but I want to talk about Rocket League too. Let me switch over to the video I took of the Rocket League tournament. I've seen
watch, man.
It was fun to watch, and I watched MOBAs for esports. Like that's really it, man. I watched maybe a little bit of Overwatch, which I think has a OBS problem, an observer problem. Like it's just hard to get good camera angles on that. But Rocket League, I think, is just a great esport for so many reasons. It translates really well. People understand, okay, soccer with cars, like they get it. But also, the two games that we watched before it got too crowded and we got kicked out for the people who paid to sit there, the two games we watched, well, the two games I've watched, I watched one on Friday. They went to game 5. It was a best of 5. And it looked like a blowout. You know, it was going to be 2-0, and the other team came back, and they came back real strong. One game it was like 7-1, and it ended up being a real nail biter. And it just seems like, I don't know, with MOBAs, it seems like you get way more blowouts. It's like, well, obviously this team's better. They'd go 3-0, or they're sandbagging a little bit because they don't want to show their full hand, like their real good combinations that they've been working on or team comps. But with Rocket League, it was just like, it makes for a really good esport. Like,
it really does. It really does, because it's digestible to the masses. Like you said, you can just pick it up, and the grammar work, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
What angle you're looking from, because it's always on the ball, but it's either through this player's purview or that player, but everybody's looking at the ball.
Yeah,
that's all it really matters.
Well, so, and it was, the obs were really interesting in this, I noticed, because during the kickoff or whatever they call it, they would take a high camera angle so you could see all the cars and it wasn't tracking a single car. But for the rest of the game, 95% of the time, they were always on a car. And I think they do that for a few reasons. Number one, it looks cooler. And number two, when you're playing these games, that's the same type of view you would have when you play it. And that's what makes esports so great, is like, these are games that you go home and play yourself. You know, it's when you watch a baseball game or a football game, like, you don't really go home and play that, you know, like maybe when you're a kid in like Little League or something, but not now. Like these, what gets people into these more, I feel like esports I get more into when I watch sports. Like my heart gets racing when I'm watching these games, because I'm like, I feel like I could do that. You know, there's a sense of,
no, you couldn't.
Yeah, not as well, but I mean, I could try.
Right,
I could try,
right.
But you know,
dude,
it's
so
like vicarious. You know what I'm saying?
I was mansplaining to your girlfriend how fucking Rocket League worked. Not much, just like, fucking 4 sentences. But then I was telling her, because I was trying to explain boost. You can't just fly all the time and go wherever you want. But what I forgot to mention is, like, you also have very little directional control once you're airborne. Like, once you pick a trajectory, you have picked that. And there's ball control by twisting your car. And there's like, yes, you can turn a little bit if you turn your car and boost a different direction. But for the most part, you chose what? 3% of the arena you're going to be in. And these guys read things
Yeah.
5 seconds in advance, 6 seconds. It's just like it seems so chaotic to us, but these guys know what's going on.
It was really impressive. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
terrible at that game, so I don't even know how they juggle the ball like that or how they keep it from touching the ground. There were periods of time during a game where the ball wouldn't touch the ground for like 20 seconds because they were just knocking it around so much. But yeah, it was great. The finals would have been intense, but I think those are today, Sunday.
I did want to say like maybe 20% of the showroom floor was dedicated to fighting games, which is cool for me. That's my kind of my jam, or used to be my jam. But anyway, holy shit! I'm so glad that I didn't join the Street Fighter tournament because everybody brought their own fight stick.
A lot of fight sticks.
No, that's the only way you can play, dude. Because I saw like empty machines, and there's no controllers. So you have to bring at least a controller for yourself or whatever, and then you plug into the PlayStation 4 or 5 that's there, and then you can start playing stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought it was, I was not, I would not have been ready. I would have showed up and they're like, "Where's your fight stick?" I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah. Well, not a lot of people were playing Street Fighter 5 too, which was odd.
It was very small. I think everybody knows that Street Fighter 6 is going to be a juggernaut, and it was. It was terrible when it came out, and it ended up being pretty good towards the end. But, all these other games, like right now, whoever you are, just go and look at Guilty Gear Strive. Go look at some high-res play of that. Bobby, does it not look like an anime game or movie?
Yeah, it looks great. But I feel like there's other games. Dragon Ball Z looked like anime.
Yeah, it
like
looked,
playable anime.
Yeah. It looked like Dragon Ball style, like TV animation, and which is great because that's the way that game looked. But I just feel like Strive is just like, current day high level anime. But anyway, and it's also a pretty fun game. Like I said,
it was really popular there. That and of course Smash Bros was big, and Brawlhalla. Brawlhalla was really big. It had the biggest prize pool, and a lot of people were playing it. Like it was maybe because of the prize pool, but I feel like that was one of the big ones.
Makes me feel like I want to go back and try that game. I think the thing that I don't like about Brawlhalla is you pick your character. I think this is the right game because there's been a couple times where I go and play all of these King of the Hill games, and I conflate them a little bit. But I believe it's one of these games where you pick your weapon, and that's your moveset. Your weapon is your moveset. Now your character is your moveset.
Okay.
So you can get, a certain character, and so you end up having a lot of characters having this. You can end up with 4 different characters having the same moveset in one match. I might be way off, but that's what turned me off when I picked up Brawlhalla again.
Okay.
But it's free to play, and if it's not, I paid for it already, so I should go check it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, the last thing I want to say about DreamHack was they had one of these. They had traditional photo booths there, but they also had this new photo booth that's popping up everywhere. They had it at the Oscars. They had it at the Game Awards. It's this photo booth where you stand on a platform, and then this arm swings around with a camera and gets this circular shot of you. So they had it set up really well where you put your own phone in there, which is perfect because you don't need to worry about sending them the pictures. So Emilio, you had a better phone than me, so we used yours, but I've got the video here. I'll play it for everybody who's watching on YouTube and Twitch. But this is the circular hero shot of me and Emilio. We're doing the back-to-back arms crossed buddy. It goes around twice. It's a pretty cool shot. I mean, it makes you look pretty cool, even though you're not. These are like 2 old guys here. It's like a bunch of kids in line, like doing this, and then we get up there. We don't have any costumes or anything, but
everybody else had a prop, and it was just
everyone had a prop, and like these girls in front of us were like, okay, we're gonna drink this beer when it spins around like that. I'm like, oh, they actually thought about this and planned it out, and we're just like shrugging, like, I don't know, what do we do with our arms?
Bobby, should we kiss? This is my chance. Bobby, we should make out, right? And he wasn't.
Didn't fall for it. All right, but yeah, it was a good time, man. Hopefully, DreamHack comes back. It was.
It wasn't like had I paid like $120, I would have been pissed.
Well, but the tickets were like what $30-$40 or something. It wasn't bad.
And for me, and where I'm not part of the Twitch generation. You know, I didn't know who a single one of those streamers that were streaming was, and
Yeah.
the only person that I knew who it was Justin Wong, and the only thing that he had done was a try to beat the pro kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, on one of the stages. You know, the production value was good. The organization was poor, I felt like, and
It could have been better. Yeah.
yeah.
Compared to the other cons I've been to, QuakeCon, BlizzCon, Comic-Con, it wasn't as good as that. But like I said, it was their first time in San Diego. Maybe it was a learning experience for them.
It could be. I mean, you can't bring your employees with you for the most part. Like you have to like hire people, like you hire carnies, dude, for these things.
Oh yeah, but still, there's people that are deciding like this is how we're going to set it up. This is how we're going to display the information on the website and all that. But yeah, all right. Well, you played some other games this week. Let's talk about that. What'd you get into?
A lot, dude. And I'm not a professional commentator or anything. Like I don't want you to take any of this seriously because all of these games I played probably.
No, nobody takes us seriously. We don't need to worry about
under
that.
2 hours on these. So DKO is a game that I invented and then somebody copied later on. That's Divine Knockout. That is taking the Smite characters and put them in a King of the Hill type Smash Brothers game. And I have proof because I sent Bobby a text message about how easily this would be translated, and voila, 10 years later, they did it. But we've talked about this. I went back again because it's not in early access anymore, and I was like, oh, you know, let me see if it's any better. On Steam, it's and the other weird thing they did was they do it in third person, and that's what they also did with Smite itself. Smite, no other MOBAs right now are in third person, and Smite was, and I always appreciated it hugely. I thought it was so good. I thought it was more realistic. I thought you could sneak up behind people and stuff like that. And on this, it's kind of like that. It's a Smash Brothers that's in third person, and yeah, the reviews are like 75%, and I feel like that's where I'm at. Like it has everything it should have. It plays okay. It feels right. The levels are actually, I like the levels. Probably my favorite thing of the game are the levels because there's traps and things going on. Like platforms are shifting, and you have to not just be part of the combat. You have to also be very cognizant of your footing and what you're doing. Where you're standing and where you're headed, because all kinds of shit is trying to kill you besides your opponents, which is cool. I like that. You need that in a game that's paced like this one is, because just the combat itself is not enough to carry it. You have quick attack and you have heavy attack, very much like Smash Brothers, and it's just missing something, and I wish I was better at development or programming and could be able to tell these guys, hey, the thing you're missing is this one thing. I can't say what that thing is. They can't say what that thing is because I'm sure they would like to be at 99% on Steam, but they're not. There's something missing, and I don't know what it is. I enjoyed seeing those characters that I love so much in a different form. You know, they're kind of like chibi. They have huge heads. Hercules kind of wasn't done very well. Go ahead, Bobby.
Well, when I had played it, what stood out to me, the reason I didn't continue to play it is it just felt so arcadey. I don't know. It felt like so many games that I pick up and I was like, this is fun for half an hour, but I can't imagine playing it any longer. I think a little bit of that is because everybody that was playing it during the open beta when I played it was new and they didn't know what they were doing. So it was just kind of, it was kind of a mess when everybody was trying to take each other out. We didn't really combo off of each other's abilities and do any sort of like high level strategy or anything that would make the game really fun. So part of that might have been due to that, but I don't know. It just feels a little too arcadey, and I think that's its big problem.
And dude, like I was I was owning people so like ridiculous.
Who are you playing?
I really like King Arthur, which is kind of like the
That's
right.
like the starter character.
Yeah. I really like him, and like 13 and 2, 13 and 3, stuff like that, 18 and 5, stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, I'm pretty fucking good at this. So I went and played the ranked, which is like 2-on-2 or 1-on-1, I believe. And yeah, at that point you could see, oh, there is an extreme level of competency you could have this at this game. There is mastery available. It's not just
Yeah.
hack and slash.
And that's
Like I was
always the
getting fucking
case.
nose. Yeah.
That's the case with so many games that I play. I'm always too scared to play ranked because of the ladder anxiety, but those are the best games.
hmm
Okay, so they
And
got
so
this game is free, right?
yeah, it's free to play,
But they've got
and
a starter pack for $10. You get the full game, all maps and modes, 4 gods, and 1,200 runes.
yeah, the gods were very similar. Like obviously they look different, and
Oh,
they
it's a
have
smite, right?
yeah,
Yeah, the
it's different.
abilities.
Yeah, they have no. I'm saying they're very similar to each other.
Oh,
You have your travel ability.
yeah, you got your
Yeah,
dash. Like everyone's got a dash ability, and then
yeah, and yes, in Smash Brothers, you also have a travel ability, this ability, and that ability. But in this one, they seem so similar that I don't know. I kind of got turned off it. So I invented a game and it was terrible. Maybe I should stay away from it.
all right. What about
So
Filthy Animal Heist? We talked about that last week. It was on the radar for me.
yeah. So again, like I played the tutorial and then I co-opted the first level. Excuse me. It was the demo. So we played the demo. They only give you one level, and it's like a grocery store where you go and you pick up a knapsack and you just kind of pick up cash that's laying around cash registers. This is a heist game, and it's fumble core, I guess, in the way that like Gang Beast is, but in Gang Beast, it's like fun. It's kind of like a three-legged race, where you're kind of like you're with somebody else and you're trying to run to the finish line and you both know how to run, but you don't know how to run with each of your legs in a sack. It's just supposed to be difficult, but also fun. And then this game for me and for John, I was playing with, it felt just like a hassle, just like difficult, not difficult, but like
It's
oddly,
frustrating.
yeah, frustrating and like oddly placed. Just like yes, it's fumble core, but fumble core should come with a certain amount of accessibility. I don't know. I didn't have these issues with the other fumble core games that I've played. This one just be like it felt like a chore, and it shouldn't feel like a chore. I feel like even recently I played Heavenly Bodies, and I was crying laughing just because of the hilarity that comes out of trying to reach for things and not being able to do it, and just like struggling to do it. And in this one, I just didn't get it, and I also didn't get why you just don't beat everybody up and take their money. They didn't. I know it was the first level, and maybe it was like super easy mode, but why don't I just beat everybody up and take their money and take the maximum score? There didn't seem to be anything long. There's no long lasting negative effects. Like you can't get killed, you can't get arrested. Maybe in the other levels, but in the demo they only give you one level. It was a bad demo. I'll say that it out and out. It's a bad demo because I didn't see enough of the game in order to want to buy it, and I didn't see enough to justify the things that I didn't like about it. I will say that like maybe if I play the second level of this game, maybe I start to understand why I can't just take all everybody's money, you know?
Yeah,
But
maybe. Yeah, that's how I felt about This Means Warp. I felt like the demo was not very good and did not make me want to play the full game, but I had a feeling that the demo wasn't doing it justice. Like maybe
yeah.
there was more to it.
So just on that, I'll I mean, I can't go too far into it, but this being Warp is also on my highlights. And Days bought this on Christmas for me, I believe. And it was on my wish list, and so I own it. But there is online multiplayer, but sorry, I'm being distracted. um, what was he saying? Oh, so I didn't want him to have buy a copy, so we just played on remote play. And by the way, we also did Filthy Animals on remote play, and it worked great on both of them. Like anything that's top down and isn't like Hades, where like split second connection is crucial.
Hmm.
I mean, we had zero. Well, I was hosting, right? But he never said that there was a problem with either one of these games. No complaints. So, and again, thank you, Lord Gaben, for the family share. A remote play, sorry.
And the family share too.
Yeah,
Thanks
and
for
the family
that.
share, both of them. Yeah, thank you for both. I will suck both you dicks. So this being warped is kind of like a FTL and Overcooked together, right?
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, that was the
because
big draw. It was like a multiplayer FTL, but a little bit of Overcooked where everybody's got to run around and do things. When I played it, people fell into roles like, okay, you're the pilot, you're the gunner, you'll handle the shields or the oxygen. But yeah, it's on paper that's a fantastic idea.
absolutely.
But
First of all, I didn't love the feel of the game. Um, the way the characters walked seemed sluggish.
yeah, the game
Yeah,
feel was a little off. Did you
yeah.
play with the controller or
I
keyboard?
did,
No.
yeah.
Okay.
And you can dash as well. And even with that, it just felt a little off. I don't know if they sometimes games slow games down overall so that the netcode all works out because it is an online multiplayer game. I don't know if that was the case here, but it did seem sluggish. Not that the processing or my rig couldn't handle it or anything, but just like built into the game is this speed, and the speed that it was at seemed a little bit off. Um, and then on top of that, I liked everything else. I think there, you run to another spaceship, and I was the gunner, and you know, I don't know enough about the game to target what I'm supposed to target. So I'm just gonna target their guns, take their guns out before stomp on theirs before they can stomp on mine, and that seemed to be working pretty well. And John was walking around and fixing the holes in our hull and stuff, and it was fun. I think ultimately we both thought it was fun, but wish that we could play with more players. I think this probably it sits really nicely at 4 players. We were thinking
So it was just you and John playing.
it was just me and John playing.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's more fun with more players. And
and we did get an NPC that we could program actually really well. There was like I don't know this task list of like 18 things that this NPC will do for us, and you can like turn off everything you don't want him to be able to do. So we were just like, just load guns, dude. Load guns and like make sure that the reactor doesn't blow up. 2 things. That was it. So we turned off a bunch of things, and he was loading the guns as much as he could, and that was really helpful. So I mean, it's nice, but it's not another person you can yell out and fucking blame for
yeah.
losing.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and I also, now that I'm looking at this game again on the Steam page, I'm remembering I did kind of like it, and I really felt like there needed to be more. In the demo, there just wasn't a whole lot of content, but I think it would have been better had I been able to progress more with this.
You can put like, if you have a good game, you could put 20% of your game in the demo, 25% of your game in the demo. You want to give them enough to want more. Don't give them so little that they don't know what they're buying.
Yeah.
Listen up, developers. Like,
Demos are
here.
tricky, man. Demos are tricky.
It's true. It really
It's
is.
even hard for me to articulate what I want out of a demo, Like I don't even know what to tell them. All right.
Probably I got to do a pee, but I'm going to listen while you talk about Sea of Thieves. Or did you already?
I already did.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I already did. God damn it. All
I
right.
think we're at
I'm
the
gonna,
Oh, you got some other games to talk about.
I do. Well, just really quickly, just Elden Ring. Right?
Okay.
That's the only one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I played Elden Ring single player. The only other way that I had played was multiplayer with John, and I was like, this game's pretty cool. yeah, game of the year by almost everybody, like all this stuff. This world opens up to you, and you're like, there's zero. It's almost negative hand holding, almost to the point where like the things that are told to you are so strange and cryptic that you're like, I don't even know what that means. Just like everything's just nothing straightforward.
Yeah.
Zero.
I mean, that's the
So it's
brand
even
of
worse.
this game.
And I was like, okay, I know about that. So let me just play this. Oh, and guys, I know everybody in the world's played this, and this is, just imagine like a 5-year-old's talking about Elden Ring, because that's basically what I am. So I'm going in, and I picked the barbarian class, which I did not play the first time. First time I played like more of a roguish character, and this time it's like a two-handed axe and no armor. And what's interesting about this game is like I can beat the whole game, Bobby, with that character. Like a very skilled player can just beat the entire game with that costume. Like I'm doing massive damage, dude. Because I'm giving up a lot, right? I'm giving up armor. I'm giving up mostly armor, because I have a lot of speed and I have endurance because I'm this barbarian character. I have a lot of hit points and stuff, and I have this two-handed axe, which is very slow and all this, but massive damage. I'm killing like fully killing knights in one hit. And so yeah, I have a very from inception, you are what you are, whatever character you are. And the more you play it, you get these souls, and you trade the souls to level up. But I do not feel weak at all, even though you're fighting these things that are just you can go anywhere you want. You can go left, right, back, center. It doesn't matter. Like there are things in every direction. So I'm walking around, and I see a beach behind the spawn point that you first come out at, far, far, far away, and I see crabs on it, and I'm like, that looks pretty cool. I mean, just go try to get down there. So, I spend like 30 minutes trying to get down there, and I finally find the way. I die a couple times, and I find the way to get down there, and I killed the crab that I had seen. This is like this giant crab, and just like I went on an adventure, but the adventure was my own, of my own, creation. It was because I felt that I was compelled personally to go see what's down there. Of course, there was this other thing that was impossible to kill, and I'm like, I'll see you later, brother. Like, let me go get some.
To be continued.
Yeah, to be continued. But it is. There's no hand holding, but also there is no. There's nothing constraining you. There's no constraints. No hand holding. But
and I think that's
no
what people like about the game. It's a game of discovery on top of everything else that it is.
Yeah. And so there's these little soapstones, obviously, from even Dark Souls. Again, I'm a 5-year-old here. The little markings on the ground, like, hey, don't go this way. There's nothing that way. That's written by another player, and then it's voted on by other players. So you don't waste your time going around some corners that you shouldn't go down, or like certain things say certain death, or some say very cool item ahead. And it's like it's collaborative. It's like quasi collaborative. I'm starting to get it a little bit. Yeah, I'm starting to get it. Yeah.
That's a dangerous road, dude.
It is.
All right. Well, I think it's time for listener questions here. Or did you want to run?
To pee.
Yeah, you go pee. I'm going to do a quick little plug here, and then we'll get into listener questions. All right. So and he mutes his mic before he walks away. Perfect. Oh, wait. There you go. You unmuted it. You're good. All right. So if you're not part of our Discord, guys, definitely check that out, guys and girls. You can go to dlgaming.net. That is our website. And from there, you can see all our links, including the Discord. That's where it's happening. The Discord is probably better than the podcast at this point. That's where everybody's hanging out, looking for people to play games with. We've got a ton of channels where you can talk about whatever you want. Magic, Harry Potter, whatever you're into. Just recently, somebody was looking for someone to play this game called Barony with, and I had never even heard of that game. I looked at the Steam page. I noticed that I had bought it on Epic Games because it was a free game that Epic Games was giving away. And after checking it out, it looks like a pretty good game. So hopefully we can make that happen. I'd love to play some multiplayer on that. But yeah, all that's happening on the Discord. And there's plenty of other stuff on our website too. If you want to buy merch, we got t-shirts. We've got links to all of our content. You can search for all our old episodes. Even our super old, really bad episodes are on there if you want to hear some classic DLG. dlgaming.net.
Dude, some people at work figured out that I didn't figure it out. I told one of them that I had a podcast, and now everybody in the office knows. And then certain people started listening to it, and now there's one person that said they started from the beginning and are listening to all. I'm like, don't do that. Dude.
Oh, dude, no, ouch!
Don't do that. It's terrible.
Oh, he must have a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah. Of course, it's the person with a 2-hour commute every day.
Oh, yeah. All right, we got a few listener questions here. Let's get to them. First one, White But Still Hip asks, I've been super busy these last few weeks, and I'm just now catching up on the March episodes. Why in God's name did you not title the March 14th episode Heel Facial? That shit was gold.
I keep telling everybody that I'm funny, and nobody fucking cares.
Okay, well, I got to take responsibility here because I am the one who names the episodes, and they're not all going to be winners, guys, first of all. So I'm sorry if some of them are kind of duds. I have to try to remember what the funniest part of the episode was, and then try to come up with something clever out of that. But also, when I name the episodes, I try to keep it a little PG, maybe PG-13. You know, I don't try to get too gross or off-putting with it because, that's the first thing people see, right? So, and especially you were talking about how you told people at work. I work with educators and, not construction workers. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got a podcast. Check it out. Episode's called Heel Facial. It's a little harder to sell,
Dude, early I was talking to these people and I was like, early on especially, I was saying some like this is curtailed, Emilio, by far. Yeah, like
dude, we were pretty wild. Yeah,
early on, dude, I was talking mad shit about everything. So, yeah, it's not.
Yep. All right. Eat Less Beef says, "Can we please get Christian a keyboard for his wife? Something silent."
That thing was ridiculous.
Dude, that was a loud keyboard, and I've never noticed it before. I don't know why last episode we finally noticed that clickety-clack keyboard back there.
Although, a little bit of, she gets some respect for playing Hades on mouse and keyboard, huh? Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't do that.
No, I don't. Well, I do actually. I play everything on mouse and keyboard, and everybody hates me for it. So I'm glad to see somebody else is in that camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, maybe we can get some Cherry MX. What are the silent ones? The brown ones. The brown and the red are silent. That's what I have. I have Cherry MX Red, and I've got these rubber gaskets on it that keep it quiet. And it's pretty quiet. Like, I don't think you can really hear it, especially with my new mic setup. Like, you can't hear that, right? Maybe when I slap the space bar.
I heard you earlier when you were typing before the show started.
Also, sometimes I just get really into it, man. Like, I'm just typing up a storm.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe she was just way into it.
Yeah, maybe Hades, like, you really got to smack the keys. All right. Time Killer B asks, have any of you played Forza Horizon 5 for PC High? Spoiler alert, it's a trip.
I've played it. No, I was not high when I played it. I like that game. I didn't like it as much as 4, funny enough. But yeah, I can imagine it would be a trip. It's so weird. The whole thing is, yeah, it's an event. The Forza Horizon event is like, it's like the Olympics in its own world. I wish there was something like that in the real world where like this thing would just set up all its tents and then all these exotic cars would drive all over the place, and it'd be like the Olympics. It'd be fucking awesome, but no, it's not real, unfortunately. So the whole thing is kind of like a whole trip. But yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know if it's like Forza Horizon, but I was in LA one time, and I was I was going to a restaurant and they had like all this stuff barricaded and these like rubber tires all set up. And I was like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh, it's the, did they say Daytona 500? Or I don't know if it was that, but it was like some race happening. And they had just like cleared out the street for it. So yeah, I don't know.
It wouldn't have been Daytona. Daytona's in Daytona, but
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that didn't sound right. I'm not into
but yeah, they do that. They did have, I believe F1 was in downtown LA one time.
Formula One cars. Those are like, aren't those really fast and hard to control? That seems hard to navigate city streets.
No, if you like, their most famous race is Monaco, and it's like super tight corners. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they handle very quick, but they're like the best cars in the world.
Yeah.
In the world for racing.
Yeah. Well, any video game high I feel like is going to be a trip though. So I don't know if that's specific to Forza Horizon, but maybe. I haven't played that game.
Bobby, a recommendation for you and your girlfriend to be watching: F1 Drive to Survive.
Oh, is that the Netflix show?
Yeah, it's the Netflix show about F1, and I've been talking about it for years. And girls like it because there's so much drama. Because there's only 20 jobs in the world, and there's so many. There's only 10 teams, and each team only has 2 drivers, and they're all trying to get each other's spots. And that it's like constant backstabbing and cheating and all kinds of stuff. And then there's also the competitive aspect, and there's also the awesome motors, and you get to learn. I didn't know anything about it, and now like I consider myself an F1 fan. Going into the 6th season now. Yeah.
All right, False Josiah says, you just got sucked in the game in your Steam library with the least actual playtime. What fresh hell do you now live in, and how do you deal with it?
I mean, I must have 100 games. No, Bobby has like 500 games he's never played.
Oh, I got a lot of garbage, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, what would be the worst game that I never play? I'm trying to think, like, okay, so let's get at the concept that he's trying to put forth here.
Profile.
A game that you don't have many hours with. So this is a game that you tried to play, did not like, and immediately. What you need to do is unhide your games. I feel like the games that you really hated, was it you or somebody else that would, like, get really mad at a game and then just, like, hide it in their Steam library?
I don't hide. If I hide anything, it's usually on accident. I'm looking at looking at the most played by time, and then going to the first one that had 0. That's what I'm going by.
Well, you probably got a lot of games with 0. You got to see the ones that you actually played, but just have very little time in. It wouldn't work for me because I use that Idle Master program that pretends like Steam is playing games, so I get card drops. So none of the information is accurate on my Steam page. But
it's crazy.
I'll tell you.
Like
go
how
ahead.
much you cared about all that stuff and how little you care about it now.
Yeah, it was a phase.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny. It's a lesson learned, though. Just don't invest too much in things because you're just going to be over it. But I will say one game that I've played. I was thinking about this the other day. We were at Dreamhack. So many people were playing Fortnite. It's a big deal, right? I remember trying to play that game, and it dawned on me that in my life, I've probably played half an hour to 45 minutes of Fortnite. Like, that's it. Probably one of the biggest games in the world, and I couldn't get past an hour with it. Although if I were forced to play that, I would find a way to enjoy it. You know, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. There are some games I play that I actively don't like, and I'm like, this is terrible and unenjoyable, but Fortnite, I could probably make it work.
Okay, so I have 3 minutes in a game called Wild Glory. It seems to be a gladiatorial combat party game. It doesn't look bad, actually. It's got 38 reviews with 92%, and it's a knockout game. I think this is another like Smash Brothers game.
Oh, the graphics don't look great.
Well, calm down, dude.
Yeah.
You know, let's give this just due here. Poor game is at the bottom of my list.
It's got 38 reviews and 92%. Well, okay.
Yeah,
And it's $3.
Ironically, it also had 37 developers, so that might have another thing to do with it.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look terrible.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Bobby thinks it looks terrible.
It doesn't look great. Features quick matches where the gladiator who claims the most of the Colosseum crowd becomes acclaimed champion.
Ooh, you're going for fame.
Lion attack, sharpshooter, explosive soccer. It looks like it's a bunch of mini games inside this.
Yeah, it's like a party game, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on, Bobby. Come on.
It would be terrible, but it's a party game. So this is meant to be played like by a bunch of drunk people hanging out at a house, right?
Or
you
kids.
can't do
Also
this single
kids.
player. So
No.
that would be a hell, being stuck in a game where like a party game with single
By
player.
yourself?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is hellish.
All right. Last question. White but still hip. He says, "Does anyone on the podcast not like a cornerstone nerd franchise like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings? If so, why?"
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, probably my biggest crime against nerddom is that I'm not really into anime. At times, it might border on genuine dislike of anime, but that's a tough pill for people to swallow, I feel like.
Bobby, have you watched like the top 5 of all time or top 3 or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Dude. I watch a lot of the stuff that people recommend. I just can't get into it, especially the episodic stuff. When it's a movie, like maybe. So they make some anime that is not feature length and it's not episodic, but it's like 45 minutes to an hour long. It's like this really weird length that you don't really see a lot of media like that. But there's some really good stuff there, like mature stuff. And there's some stuff that I like Perfect Blue, I thought was really great. And some of the old stuff I enjoyed. You know, back in the day, I kind of had a different relation with anime. It seemed like this very foreign thing. It was just like I'd never seen anything like it, like Akira or Ninja Scroll. But I don't know. Now it's just, I feel like we're inundated with so much anime.
As far as franchises, though, I mean, I think I've enjoyed everyone to a certain extent. Like I've listened to a lot of Warhammer 40K books, enough to the point where like 10 of them. That's a lot of time that I've invested in that.
Yeah.
There's,
I mean, that's a pretty deep well, though. So
there's 400 books or something crazy.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it just means that they just hand out their license to anyone.
Yeah.
Which is in its own way. I mean, maybe that's how you get good content, by like everybody trying and you stick to the
just
good
see
one.
what sticks.
Yeah,
Just throw
but
it on.
you can't just let everybody have your canon and control of your canon. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think I like most of them.
Yeah. I'm not as crazy about the Marvel stuff, but you like Marvel.
I like Marvel. Battlestar Galactica. I never got into that one. But that's just because I never put the time in, I guess.
Yeah, well, there was a show that came out maybe about 15 years ago with Edward James Olmos, and I feel like that really... Because the old Battlestar Galactica is like just too old to enjoy. It's like old Doctor Who. No, it's the new one, like that new generation. That's what got everybody. And that was like at the beginning of this wave of episodic storytelling that was like HBO, because everybody was used to like, sitcoms and all this stuff for the longest time. And, the story not moving really forward at all unless you were watching something on HBO. And then eventually, like with Netflix and all the streaming services, that became pretty common. And that's why we have such, like, TV is so much better than it used to be. And Battlestar Galactica was one of those first shows, I feel like, that started doing that. And that really went like mainstream. Like everybody had that DVD box set.
They loved that thing, and I never watched it. Did you watch it, Bobby?
A little bit. My girlfriend is really into it, and I tried to get into it, but I can't remember if it was before or after Lost, but Lost was like a big factor in all this too. Like that really moved the needle on this. But with Battlestar Galactica, you start off with a 2-hour episode. That's the introductory one, and then you have like the normal episodes after that. So it was basically like watching a movie. And then, I don't know, I got a little bit into it, and then I kind of felt like it was one of those things where people kept telling me, no, you got to keep watching, then it gets good. And I'm just like, I've already put 4 hours into this. I'm still not enjoying it. Like, know if I want to continue down the path, but yeah, maybe I'd enjoy it now because I never liked Star Trek as a kid. And then maybe in my 20s, I started watching Next Gen and I was like, oh man, this is incredible. It seemed so boring when I was a kid. Maybe because Star Wars was so fast paced and I was like, well, this is obviously better. You know, you watch Star Trek and they're just sitting in this big room and they're like, engage and prepare to fire torpedoes. And it's just like Star Wars is just like, pew, 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 you know.
Dude, I would say that like fucking the Next Generation formed me as a person. It might have that was everything to me. My
Really?
personality might have been formed around the Next Generation. I used to run home. I was addicted. I mean,
Dude, there's some good apps too. Even if you start from the beginning, like it starts off really good. Like some of those first season episodes are really good, and there is so many episodes. There's so much content when it comes to that. They're like 40 something minute runtime. An hour with commercials, so it ends up being like 43 minutes or so, and it's 24 episodes a season, and there's like 6 seasons, 7 seasons or something. I don't know. There's just so much content. I've watched like start to finish the first 3 seasons maybe, but I haven't made it much further than that.
Here we go. So I'm looking up like the top IPs in the world, So Pokemon's number 1. I completely never got into it. Just flew right. I think we're a little too old for a Pokemon. Funny enough, Hello Kitty's right after that one. Winnie the Pooh, Mickey Mouse, then Star Wars. Crazy, huh?
Maybe it's like a global thing, not just America.
And then, Disney Princesses, Mario, but Harry Potter. I listened to all the books. I read some of them. Marvel Cinematic Universe, love it. I hated Dragon Ball. I didn't hate it, but could not get into it. Tried and couldn't get into it. Yeah, so there you go. We don't like animation, but I love animation.
All right. Well, that's an episode. What are you playing next week?
Why do you put me on the spot here, Bobby?
Well, I'll start it off.
I was in really good time with Elden Ring, actually.
Oh, going to continue down that path? All right.
Yeah.
I think I want to check out that Barney game. Somebody in Discord, I can't remember who, I think it was Lasagna McGillicuddy was talking about playing that, but that looks pretty interesting. But I'll see what else is out there. I'm not going to commit to anything. We'll see what happens.
All right, man. All right, now speaking for Bobby and myself, like 0 titties, everyone. Congratulations. Bye.